Buenas and Hafide, the public hearing on the Committee on Infrastructure, Economic Development, Simon Sanchez High School, Disability Services, Self-Determination, and Historic Preservation, Housing, Public Accountability, and the Guam Buildup is called to order. The time is currently 1:15 p.m. on Friday, September 22nd, 2023. This afternoon, the committee will hear the testimony on Bill 133-37 Core, introduced by Senator Sabina, Flores, Perez, Therese M. Terlaje, Chris Barnett, an act to add a new section, subsection 48307 to Article 3, Chapter 48, Title 21, Guam Code Annotated, relative to allowing tenants to make repairs to weatherheads and weatherhead posts following storms in cases where landlords fail to act expeditiously. Notices of this afternoon's public hearing was provided to senators, stakeholders, and the local media on September 15, 2023, satisfying the 5-day notice, and September 20, 2023, satisfying the 48-hour notice, thus meeting the requirements for open government law. In addition to the notice of this hearing was also posted and available on the Guam Legislature's website. Materials for this public hearing were shared on the committee drive and are available for printing upon request. For signing convenience, please scan our QR code displayed or input your name on the web browser bit.ly/rebq_sign-in, SIGIN. Welcome. Joining me is Senator Sabina Perez to my left. Ziduos Masi for your presence this afternoon. Before we start, I'd just like to give some brief rules of conduct. I'd like to first provide some general rules of conduct to those who are in attendance, and the conduct of this hearing shall be as follows. The chair shall first recognize individuals presenting and state their names for record-keeping purposes. 2, questions and testimony shall be confined to the substance or nature of the agenda. 3, individuals speaking shall only use respectful and professional language and conduct. Personal interference about the character or motive of any senator or any individual testifying is absolutely not permitted. The chairperson of the committee may order the removal from this hearing on the committee or subcommittee of any person who is not a member of Ileas Guam and who fails to observe proper decorum according to the 37th Guam Legislature Standing Rules. All must abide by the rules of conduct and quality assurance standards. Any violations of this rules of conduct will result in removal from this hearing. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation. Okay, on the agenda for today is Bill number 133-37 Core. Those testifying will be allowed to present their written or verbal testimony. For those here present or to present verbal testimony, I will call in the order of how they appear or in the sign-in sheet. Please ensure you are present and ready when your name is called, as we aim to make the most of our time together. Thank you. Testimony may be read, and extended testimony should be summarized to about 5 minutes. Written testimony shall be submitted to the committee. Please provide my committee staff with your written testimony for photocopying. Once you are done, please remain in the room for questions and additional testimony as may be desired by the members of this committee. Before I recognize the sponsor to provide any opening remarks on Bill number 133-37, I would like to state for the record purposes, Bill number 133-37 Core was introduced on June 8, 2023 at 4:42 p.m., referred to the committee on June 14, 2023, and received the fiscal waiver on June 22, 2023. Senator Perez, you are now recognized for opening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, for hosting this public hearing on Bill 133-37. The intent of this bill was to facilitate restoration of power after our experience with Mawar to one's residential rental home. And the aim of this bill is to allow tenants to make repairs to weatherheads following storm damage when a landlord fails to make timely repairs. Approximately 80% of the household customers rely on overhead supply of power. And so following a storm, the weatherhead is critically important, and should there be damage to it, the repair of it would help to speed up the process of restoring power. So the repair of a weatherhead requires the services of a licensed electrical contractor that holds a master electrician certification. And the purpose is two-phased: to determine if the weatherhead is properly replaced or repaired, and to ensure that any water damage to the electrical system from the water that entered through the broken weatherhead has also been repaired. So the authorization in this bill is for weatherhead damage only and not for the damage due to water inundation, which would take much longer. So currently, the bill proposes to allow tenants to make repairs if the landlord fails to repair a damaged weatherhead within 10 days following the date that the landlord becomes aware of the damage. The tenant may, at his own or her costs, cause repairs to be made to the weatherhead in compliance with Guam's building and electrical code laws, rules, and regulations. The tenant may deduct the cost of such repairs from the next subsequent rent payment. And in the event the cost exceeds 1 month's rent payment, the tenant may continue to deduct the balance of the cost until the cost of repairs is recovered. In the event the damage to the weatherhead occurs in a multifamily structure and multiple tenants incur the cost of repairs, each tenant may deduct cost that is respected to the tenant's contribution for the repair. So this is what the bill proposes. Currently in Guam law, there are two landlord-tenant laws that contradict each other regarding tenant repairs. Section 51102, 18 GCA reads, lessee repairs. If within a reasonable time after notice to the lessor of dilapidations which he ought to repair, he neglects to do so, the lessee may repair the same himself, where the cost of such repairs does not require an expenditure greater than 1 month's rent of the premises, and deduct the expenses of such repairs from the rent, or the lessee may vacate premises, in which the case he shall be discharged from further payment of rent or performance of other conditions. And then there's another part of law, which is 21 GCA section 48303. And so this is the part that conflicts. It says tenants may not contract repairs without the express written consent of landlord, and tenant may not deduct expenses or costs of such repairs. And so since the introduction of this bill, we did receive some feedback and concern from landlords, and we're willing to make some changes to the bill. For instance, we understand that we had more information coming out since we introduced the bill, that a big problem was not just the lack of awareness of the importance of the weatherhead, but there was a huge demand on electricians to make these corrections and fixes. As we all know, GPA was working long days to repair poles. So again, that was another burden on making sure there was enough repairs being done on weatherheads. So what this bill would do, it would basically create more of an avenue of flexibility to allow more of the private sector to become part of the solution. But in regards to some of the information that we received, so basically, I'm open to changes of the bill, and one of them being that, perhaps requiring more flexibility with landlords that, should there not be able to make the repairs within 10 days, at least it as an amendment to the bill. The idea is that we want to make sure that after a storm that we are more resilient, and that, knowing full well that there are some supply issues, with that in mind. And so I do look forward to more input so that we can make this bill better and to address some of the gaps and inconsistencies in our law so that we can be more resilient community. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Perez, we will hear testimony from those who joined us today. I would like to call, unfortunately, we don't have anyone here to testify. I understand that my office did reach out to other entities to be present today alongside with GPA. Being that there are no other members with me present today of the legislative body, and I don't see anyone here for questions or any comments or concerns towards this legislation, I will just go ahead and proceed with closing. If the senator would like to proceed with any closing statement, or
Not at this time, but I do look forward to more of the input from agencies and the community. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
noted. I'm sure we will be in receipt of some emails and other testimonies to be submitted for the committee report. So once that is submitted, I will be sure to disseminate out the committee report to others. If there are no further testimonies to be heard today in today's public hearing, the committee will continue to receive testimony until Friday, September 29, 2023. Please address the testimony to Senator Roy A.B. Quinata, Chairperson of the Committee on Infrastructure, Economic Development, Simon Sanchez High School, disability service, self-determination, historic preservation, housing, public accountability, Guam buildup, and can be dropped to the mailroom here at the Guam Congress Building or sent to our office of Senator Roy Quinata at guamlegislature.org or WhatsApp to 472-4826. It is now 1:26, and this will adjourn this public hearing on Bill 133-37.